Hi, today I want to talk a little about the actual interview itself. And I'm going to maybe do a couple of videos on interviews, it's such a big area, but specifically I want to talk about setting the scene. Now, traditionally, the scene is usually very clearly, there's you, it's a them and us type scenario. You set out, and there may be two or three of you and one of them. And there's a lot of power brokering and all sorts of nonsense that gets done either intentionally or accidentally in the interview. But I would like you to look at this a little differently, and I would like you to try and see an interview as something other than what traditionally you have in your mind. You see, if you really want to make a great hiring decision, then the best way you can do that is to genuinely get to know the real person in the room. Not the facade, not the facsimile, not the mask that we're being presented with the combed hair and the shiny shoes, but you want them to be as authentic and as themselves as possible. Because what you're trying to gauge, really, when it comes down to it, is can you, the line manager, see yourself working with and spending time every day with this person? And therefore, you want to make sure that the environment in which you make that assessment is something that actually works. Now, the conventional, old-fashioned, traditional, monotonous way that we tend to create these interview environments might work for some personality types. However, for most, it's highly inappropriate, and therefore it's impeding your ability to make good hiring decisions. Let me give you an example, and I'll just use this quick example to illustrate what I'm talking about here. Let's say here we've got the People Maps personality map, and on this map all the personality, everybody on the personality spectrum sits somewhere on the map, right? You are on the map, I'm on the map, we're all on the map somewhere, and we're all unique, which is why it's not, I don't give you a label and it's not categorized as such, but everyone sits somewhere on the map. Now, if you were to interview someone from the Southwest for your role, then the type of environment I would recommend and would urge you to consider would not be anything that looked like a formal work environment. For one, do not place anything like a table between you and the candidate. Preferably, do not have your knees opposing. I know they used to say this in the circles as well, but in this scenario here, when you're dealing with the Southwest generally has a strong aversion to confrontation. Now, you may be from the East Coast, you may be from the North or the Southeast, in which case these things probably really do not matter to you at all. But if you really want to get under the skin of this candidate and get to know them really quickly and really well, then create an environment where they will relax and talk openly. And you cannot do that whilst you have anything between you or while your knees are facing. My suggestion would be take them out of the interview room and go somewhere where there's a soft seat and where you can sit beside each other and chat over a cup of tea or coffee. That will reveal much more about this candidate than 2 or 3 hours of grilling them in that very formal, confrontational, face-to-face type scenario. Now, it's different for different personalities, right? You wouldn't do that with everybody, and this would work mostly with people in the Southwest. If I was interviewing Southwest candidates, then there is no way I would do it the old-fashioned way. I would definitely say, well, we'll go and get a coffee and we'll just sit and we'll have a chat about stuff. Oh, don't worry about this. It's not an interview. This is just us having a coffee. You really have to put them at ease. You really have to let them feel relaxed, and you have to work on that side of things. Now, the other thing I would talk about and deal with to set the scene, and all we're talking about here is setting an environment that is going to allow you ultimately to get more information and make a more accurate judgment based on more accurate information and facts. The other thing I would do, of course, I would be talking about the we, right? So Southwest are very uncomfortable talking about themselves. So when you're asking questions, tell me about yourself and tell me this about you and tell me that about you, automatically they have to put up a big barrier and a wall and whoa. Now, I know it's a job interview, you know it's a job interview, they know it's a job interview, but that doesn't really make it any easier. And unfortunately, the South West will put this wall up defensively automatically. And once they put that wall up, you're not really going to get the information that you need because you're not going to get through the wall. You're going to have to peek over the top of it if you're lucky, or peek round the side. You're not actually going to get up close and personal with this person. So again, re-engineer your questions so that they're not those confrontational, tell me about yourself type questions. And instead, before you ask anything, tell them something about you or the team or the company. So, for instance, I do this, I do that, and I typically do this. Do you find that you can do that too? Do you find that you like that? I like to have, I like my work to be organised and planned, and I like to be ahead of things. How does that work for you? Is that your kind of style of working too? You can see the difference between that and, okay, tell me about your work style. How do you deal with things? What happens if this happens? Right? So it's a whole different ballgame. This is what I would urge you to do. Now that's only the Southwest. Obviously it's a different scenario for different personality types. And remember, you're not doing this for their benefit. You're doing it for your benefit. You're going to have to make a decision, and if you want to make the very best decision, you need the very best information. And the only way you can get that is if you create an interview environment that is conducive and going to allow them to actually open up and be themselves and tell you what you need to know. Okay, that's me. I'm Martin Gibbons. This is People Maps, helping line managers to hire, retain, and develop the people in their lives. Thanks very much for watching.